unless you're on your soul's purpose, you'll probably be spending tons of time doing nonsense like jerking off to pornography or wasting your time scrolling through a bunch of hot Instagram girls. And don't get me wrong, everybody loves a hot Instagram girl, but will that bring you fulfillment? Will that bring you purpose? Will that bring you joy? Will that bring you finances? Will that bring you closer to God? Absolutely not. That's why I'm looking forward to our conversation today with my good friend Emily Harrison of the Akashic Academy. Look at you looking all
I was posing for
namaste.
that part. I wanted to be the hot Instagram girl of spirituality and just pose it off while you were talking.
Totally.
Keep
We'll
going, keep going.
scroll. Yeah, I'm sure there'll be some people checking out your Instagram after, even though I'm telling them don't do it. They'll be doing it. No, you know what, Emily? Awesome. You're awesome. Me and you've been friends for numerous years. We were business partners. I had a little role to play in the start of the Akashic Academy, which is blown up, and you've done all kinds of incredible things. In fact, I want to read off your bio, and then I want to get into our conversation about your soul's purpose. So for those who don't know Emily, you're really in for a treat. Emily is the founder and director of the Akashic Academy, a modern day mystery school dedicated to sharing knowledge that is empowering the planet to resource. I like that. Not restore, but resource. Nice play on words. Super conscious intelligence from within. She's been featured on CBC, NBC, HBO, Lifetime, Netflix, Thrive, and she spoke at Harvard University. Emily is now creating quantum in-person experiences within the most profound grid points on the planet so people can experience accelerated activation and embodiment of their soul mission. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to the block. Emily, you're special because we generally don't. This is a men's channel. And while we talk about spirituality and sex and everything in between, we don't really like hang out with too many women, not because we're not fond of them. It's because we're too fond of them. Most men on this channel love women too much. But actually, no, it's great. You're a great energy and a great time, and I'm looking forward to chatting. But I do think it's special that you're here and sharing, how you're helping us get on our mission, get on our soul's purpose.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we need the men of the planet that love the women and the divine feminine, because there's massive healing that's happening in both the masculine and feminine energies on the planet right now. And we need the men to take a stand for us to be our warriors. So thank you for the work that you're doing to really help men harness that energy. Like the men that are like that.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, I think I really like that idea of being the warrior, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of guys here are drawn towards that archetype. In your perspective as a woman, do you see that a lot of men aren't stepping up into their purpose? As from a woman's perspective, how do you think men are scaling on, stepping up as healthy men, expressed men, and living their purpose? What are your perceptions on the state of mankind?
I think there's a big dichotomy. I have surrounded myself with friends and colleagues like you that are seeking higher levels of consciousness, which honestly, it sounds very woo-woo and very like esoteric when we say it like that. What that really means is we're all seeking the ability to course correct and to be able to work from our higher intelligence. And it's such an important thing. And I see a big dichotomy. I see, man, those who are in the field, in this space with us, they're doing the work and they're making progress. And it's beautiful to see the healing that's happening right now. I get really inspired by it. And I still look at the world at large and the separation that's happening. And I think the gap is just getting more profound, where we see the difference between the lightness and the dark, where the shadow is playing out on our planet.
Yeah, I can definitely see that in my own neighborhood, in getting involved with politics. I definitely saw the division and the amount of darkness that's in the planet. And also, like you said, but also I've met some just amazing people that are so full of light, that are so full of love, and that really want to help people. a lot of guys have this longing, this feeling like something is missing, and they're trying to fill it. You know, here on this channel, we talk lots about semen retention and sexual mastery, staying away from things like pornography, detrimental habits that are killing our aura, killing our energy, and how we can really reignite our light body, our spiritual bodies, and connect in deeper ways. This longing that men are experiencing, it's a real pain point. And again, it has us doing all kinds of shit that we don't want to be doing. From your perception, what do you see as that longing? Where's that coming from? And why are so many men experiencing that seems to be a gap within themselves?
It's a huge problem. This is one that I find is not only really apparent for men right now, but also women. There's this deep longingness, because even though we are separated in the genders, masculine and feminine, we all have all of that energy within us. You have masculine and feminine energy within you. I have the masculine and the feminine within me, right? So we're learning how to work with these energies in tandem, in synchronicity, in cohesion together. What this looks like, if I took this storyline up even another octave and we started talking about this from the God perspective, God is also this energy of complete, whole, sourced masculine and feminine energy. There's a creation aspect, there's an intelligence aspect to the God nature. And when we choose an incarnation as humans to come here on this planet, we're doing that because we desire to experience ourselves as God. And that longingness comes from the fact that we haven't quite hit it yet. We haven't figured out, because that's a very woo-woo esoteric conversation, experiencing ourselves as God. What the fuck does that mean? And can I say fuck on here?
Yeah, you can say whatever you like. Free. We believe in free speech, and we believe in, like, I've talked lots about, like being part of the Hare Krishna community, growing up Catholic, my own relationship with God, and there's many different probably thoughts and opinions, because I know, like, for example, when you say like experiencing ourselves as God, I can already hear many of Hare Krishna community going, oh my God, you can never do it because you're not God, you're a servant of God. And then I hear other people, and their philosophies coming in. So it's just an interesting conversation anyways. But yeah, you could say whatever you like.
I understand that philosophy too. If we look at God as love, I will absolutely bow and be a servant to love as my teacher. Do I get it right every time and embody full, whole love and unconditional love? Absolutely not. But I'm about finding let's find the similarity. Let's find the truth. Let's find what resonates for you and work from there, which is what I really love about the community that's here, the open-mindedness, the open-heartedness, to want to grow and shift and change and try things on, try on new thought ideas. Maybe you've never tried on that aspect before of thinking of yourself, oh, if I were here fully embodying the energy of God, what would I do? What would I create? How would I show up?
Right.
And I feel like this is the next step that humanity needs in order to really take our freedom back from still being suppressed and controlled and really imprisoned by this 3D matrix, this lower vibration of consciousness that intends to control us. This is where we take our freedom back. And it's such an important conversation because, again, when we bring it down to what does that look like in your real life right now, it looks like, how do I become fully embodied and express myself and create the life that I want to live here on this planet? And in the highest good of myself and everyone connected to me. It's an important aspect. And I think when we begin the search for consciousness, that integrity will take over at some point, and we really, but it's required that we hold ourselves in that high level of integrity when we're creating, because having like this godlike power, if we are not in our highest integrity, we're going to manipulate with it. So
I think, yeah, and I think that's largely what we're seeing happening, right? Like we are all part and parcel of God. So whatever qualities God has, we embody that. So if God creates, we also have creative power within us, and we can express that. But I believe you're absolutely right that to say that when we are not conscious, when we're simply acting from our instinctual nature, and we're not consciously creating, we're not consciously embodying that power and respecting it, then we can create all kinds of havoc. And we're you know, it's just clear to see across the planet that that's happening.
Well, you talked about all of the things that men are doing because they've got all this energy and this longing and not really knowing what to do with it. So you talked about the porn and XYZ different ways that we distract ourselves,
just all kinds of ways,
right?
alcohol, drugs, blah, 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 blah.
Right. There's a bigger impact to that.
Yeah.
Because when we're experiencing lack in any place in our life, this longingness for more, it's actually a lack of understanding the truth of who we are and what we're here to do. And when we have lack, patterns repeat themselves. So you're going to find this lack showing up in your finances. You're going to find it showing up in your relationship in some form or fashion. If you're finding that you, like, was it Mick Jagger that sang about satisfaction? I can't get no.
I can't get no.
Yeah, if you find that you're not being satiated with satisfaction, fulfillment in all areas of your life, you will find that you create more of that, and it's going to have bottom line impact in your bank account, your unhappiness, unrest in relationships, your health. It affects our health so disastrously when we have lack, when we're lacking our full vitality, when we lack the ability to show up and really connect with people and process our emotions. These are the things that will recreate over and over in your life, and you will find yourself depressed and very dissatisfied. You know, it's a big deal.
Yeah, and I always say, like, the root cause of guys, you know, again, whatever vice they want to use or whatever ways that we choose to, you know, check out or relieve ourselves of tension and longing and this desire to connect. It doesn't matter which form you're doing it. The root cause is the same. And I know my spiritual master, I remember I was having this conversation with him on the phone, and he said, you know, if guys are masturbating a lot, they probably just don't have, you know, they have too much time on their hands. And another way of looking at when someone has too much time on their hands, I did a video about this just recently. I recorded a video for the channel about this, where I was talking about guys being the nice guy or needy guys, people pleasers. I said, ultimately, you have too much time on your hands, and that's a symptom of not being on purpose, not being on mission. Because a man who's on mission, a man who's on point, they're not watching porn and they're not doing all this nonsense because they have things to get done. They're effective, they're efficient, and they're working towards a higher cause. And I think that's ultimately, you know, one of the things that can help save us.
100%.
How do you feel about, like, or, you know, that idea of being on purpose, being on mission, and satisfying or satiating, right? Getting satisfaction from a soul's perspective.
I think it's the root cause of that longingness for more. I think until men figure out what their mission is here on the planet, I think every single human on the planet has a mission. There's a little difference in nuance of words here, because I don't want to downplay what I would call purpose. And that is just show up and be happy and be kind and loving, right? We have a purpose as humans to fulfill. And I'm going to hold every single person accountable here today. You're not going to get out of your mission, but I'm a purpose human. I'm just here to hold the space and the frequency. From my woo language, I would call those people frequency holders. If you're just here to be happy and to love everybody around you, you're a frequency holder, a frequency keeper. Similar to the Great Pyramid, that was a frequency holder. It was a machine that held a higher frequency of consciousness. Now we're using biomachinery, right?
I think that people like monks and priests and people who are fully devoted would be, or like someone who just takes care of their garden all day long and is just in bliss doing it, would be like that frequency holder. Where I think that many of us, like myself included, I wouldn't put myself in that category. I'm much more action oriented. Give me some flavor, give me some juice. You know, I need something a little bit with some action behind it.
Yeah, my whole body is just buzzing right now. I haven't talked a lot about this different psychic senses, but one of the psychic senses is clairsentience, and that's when the body has a physical response to truth. And I feel every single person who's going to be magnetized to show up in this space and to watch this interview, you are here to make impact on the planet. And understanding your mission, everyone has a unique one, and we're born with it. And it's inside of us. It's possible for us to dissect this when we peel back the layers of, you know, what's caused the lack of clarity, because we take on other people's truths and we have traumas and XYZ experiences that cause us not to be in alignment with our truth. And so once we discover what our soul mission is and we begin to vibrate in alignment with that mission, this longingness goes away, and this fulfillment, a deep fulfillment and growth, because that's the nature of consciousness as it expands. And so many of you are at this place where you're ready for this information. You're ready for the next step of really understanding and downloading what your soul mission is here on the planet. And once you have that information and you make an agreement to vibrate in coherence with that, yes, I accept the mission, life.
Right. What is that? Scouts
that
honor?
Was Girl Scouts honor.
What, Scouts honor?
Yeah, but I quit the Girl Scouts. I'm a rebel. I quit my sorority too in Girl Scouts. I had trouble fitting inside the box. Does that surprise you?
Well, me and you are very similar that way. Like you know, maybe just a little bit like outliers a little bit, but I think that people that are in touch with their soul's mission are like that, because one thing that I find about, like, as I've embraced my own mission and recognizing that it doesn't look like anybody, it's unique. Yeah. There's a unique relationship. Every single one of us has a unique relationship with God, with the universe, and each of us has an individual expression of that same energy. Yes. So we all have that same energy floating through us, and that connects us. But at the same time, we're also individuals, individual souls with individual expressions. And I find that the more you surrender to that, yes, the more fulfilled you are, the more happy you are, the more things just work very easily as well. You know, abundance is there, and connections is there, and love is there. It's all there because that's nature's or God's gift to you. That's nature's way. It's always there. It's abundant. But I do find that the challenge, maybe you could speak a little bit to this, is that you almost become very unique because you're not following the cookie cutter path and saying, well, either my culture or my religion or my teacher or my mother or my father, you know, they said you have to do it this way, and this is the only way to do it. I find that people that do get in touch with their soul's purpose tends to start to kind of stray outside of that and says, well, yeah, you know, I understand that, but also look at this whole other thing that there is to discover.
Well, it is very challenging because we have been indoctrinated up until this point in our spiritual growth to look to others for answers. And when we're very unique and we're required to dissect our own soul energy in our own life, that becomes a challenge because we are required to self-initiate, to tap in. There's no one to tell us whether or not it's right or wrong. So we have to discover the path to be able to trust that level of intelligence. Perfect lead-in, man. How valuable do you think it would be if you could read that blueprint somewhere?
Well, it would be there would be no price on it, because the reality is that most people live their life born, do a bunch of shit in between, and then die, and never really discover a deeper aspect to themselves. And so therefore, you know, possibly having to reincarnate over and over again to finally discover it, or discover their connection with God and their unique expression of that energy and of that purpose. To me, there's no number to be placed on that. Because, and also on the most, that's of course in a very esoteric way we're talking, but in the most practical way, look, if you want more money, you want to be a hotter dude, you want more chicks on your arm, or you want your wife to, you know, just be all over you again, and you want the greatest health, this is also part of that, because all of those things, that abundance that men naturally desire, is also part of nature's plan, but only when you're on purpose, on task, on point with it.
Yes. And we must reach a high enough level of consciousness. So congratulations, everyone who hears this, to receive and to illuminate in our field the piece of technology that can fill in those gaps for you. You know, Nick talked about, when he introduced me, that I've created a company, a mystery school. I've become an entrepreneur, so it's a company too.
It's a
Nick
company
taught
too.
me how to be a great entrepreneur, everybody.
I gave you the lingo.
Yeah, married with the intelligence of the superconscious that I can tap into, it's one of the reasons that I've had such accelerated results. It's because in this mystery school, I train people to tap into a space known as the Akashic Records, where every detail of our past, our present, all possible futures is recorded from a neutral perspective. Neutral means unconditional love and zero judgment. So this is the God energy. This is the God mind.
This would be like, you see, the word Akash in Sanskrit means ether.
Ether, which is primordial energy, right? Fifth element, earth, wind, water, fire, all stems from the ether.
We would say it's the first element, but it doesn't matter. I know what you mean. It's the fifth. It's one out of the 5 major elements. So the Akash
first, any day, friend.
Well, I think the Akash comes, and correct me if I'm wrong for my Vedic scholars out there, but according to Vedic knowledge, I believe the Akash, every element comes out of the Akash. So then you've got fire, water, whichever ones, and then eventually we have all the elements and we make up, this material world.
Yes. This is technology that has been talked about through every single history, culture, religion on the planet. You talked about the Akash through the Vedics. I grew up very Southern Baptist Christian. In the Bible, this is known as the Book of Life. This is an intelligence that we can actually shift our consciousness and tap into and download instantaneous information. Albert Einstein used this. Nikola Tesla used this. Steve Jobs used this. You can use this too.
Napoleon Hill, because I just want to mention, I talk a lot about Napoleon Hill on this channel in Think and Grow Rich, because he talks about sex transmutation as part of as a major key and aspect to success, especially as men. If you read Napoleon Hill's book Think and Grow Rich, or The Loss of Success, he also talks about infinite intelligence and tapping into infinite intelligence, which he refers to as the ether. And so he's also speaking about the Akashic Records.
100%. 100%, yes. So what I want to invite your audience into today is an experience that you talked about in the bio too. You talked about how I'm now showing up and creating in-person retreats and opportunities for people to have quantum expansion by taking them into vortex locations on the planet. Mount Shasta is one of the most alive vortexes on the planet at this time. The energy pulsing through this particular grid point illuminates and expands our consciousness very, very quickly. So this year is the very first time that I'm also offering a virtual engagement to this experience. So August 8th, 9th, and 10th, we are hosting a virtual retreat that is going to tap you into not only your Akashic Records, but also empower you through this vortex point, this embodiment location, Mount Shasta. And I just want to briefly share after my first trip to Mount Shasta, I went in specifically seeking vision for the Akashic Academy and what I was here to do. And it was, yes, I'm here for the bigger vision, but I'll be honest with you guys, the underlying drive in my personal life was it was falling apart. Nick remembered when, my husband and I split, and we've got 3 kids, and there was just challenge everywhere. And the information that I downloaded when I came back and implemented this, within 8 months, I had quintupled my income. I had gotten that speaking gig at Harvard that you talked about. Things began to expand incredibly rapidly. And when I went back to dissect success, hey, what went right there? A lot of what came in through my Akashic Records was the potency of being in this vortex. So I would love to invite those of you who are resonating to this to check out our virtual Mount Shasta event, linking to Earth's vortexes. There will be 3 days of live broadcasts. They're 1 hour each. There will be replays if you're not able to make it there live. But I will take you through 3 specific gateways as you come into this experience. The first gateway is about removing resistance in your life. It's the weeding. It's the removal of all that trauma and the lack of clarity that's built up so that we can tap right in. The second gateway I'll take you through is where you will download your soul mission. You will literally tap into your records and write down what comes through for you, about what your soul is here to do and accomplish on the planet, and why it's so important. And day 3, we will purposefully send together, I'm like pulsating that energy through the planet. We will enliven this energy in the grids of Mother Earth. There are 2 grid systems that we'll focus on. The crystalline grids that exist within the planet. They're known as the ley lines or the dragon lines. And we'll also work with the
I like dragon lines because that sounds cool. The dragon lines.
And then the Christed consciousness grid, I'll speak to this in another framework through the Native Americans. This is a sacred dodecahedron. It's one of the platonic solids, a grid of energy that surrounds our planet, which is the mechanism that we're all collectively projecting our vision into, that's creating this waking dream or this life or this reality that we're all experiencing. So there will be an opportunity to inform the grids of this new soul, not a new soul mission, but your new awareness of your soul mission, so that you can vibrate in frequency with this timeline.
Yeah, that stuff is really cool. I'm fascinated by that kind of knowledge, sacred geometry, and the way that the energy lines run on the planet, because it's very similar to what we do inside of sexual alchemy. And what I train is about opening your energy lines in your body.
Yes.
And the more that you could tap into your energy lines in your body and open them up, you can make your sexual energy flow. You can use it to manifest. You can use it to create, to connect, and you could transcend it as well. You can bring it back to its essence, its pure form, which is spirit. And so it's like looking at that at the earth level and saying, well, if I'm, if I have that, the earth has that as well. And how do we tap into that and really connect with that? So it's really, really cool stuff. So I will tell everybody that the link to register for this retreat, get yourself there. Again, if you're sitting there wondering, what's my life's purpose, or I'm confused about my next steps, or I know I have this longing, I have this understanding in myself that I know I'm meant to do something on this planet. I know I'm meant to make an impact. I know I'm meant to make a difference, but you're struggling to find that clarity around it. It sounds like this is the perfect place for you. So again, I'll leave the link in the description so you can go and click on it. Is there anything that, any last thoughts about what the guys who do register and take action on this, what they can expect over this retreat, these few days that they'll spend with you?
Yeah, absolutely. For those of you who sign up and dive in, expect magic, expect accelerated results, expect experiencing a part of yourself that you've never felt before. I want you to feel the epic nature of who you are and how important you are here on the planet. And one of my giftings, one of my geniuses is to create these kind of experiences that allow us to see ourselves in the epic nature, the epic reflection of God that we truly are. And I can just promise you a life-changing experience.
Yeah, I know you can. And, if you guys are wondering, oh, I'm not sure, I'll give you a personal just testimonial to this, is that I've worked with I used to run a show before I got into all this semen retention stuff and started working with men. In fact, it's how I met Emily. I used to run a show where I would interview light workers and spiritual workers and different peoples of different cultures and modalities, and in the different ways they interact with, spiritual technologies and spiritual law. And, that's how I met Emily. And so I've had tons of readings and, I've just had so many readings and tarots and crystals and like so many things that people have gifted me. And I've done work with Emily, and it's the real deal. Being able to use her process to tap into the Akashic records, you have a tangible difference in your energy, in your consciousness, in your presence after you're done. It's tangible, it's noticeable, and it'll show up in the results in your life. So I know it's going to be a heck of experience. And again, since I've worked with you, it's been years. So I can only imagine how much more in tune, more powerful, and more honed you are in being able to help people. So I'm really excited for the guys who are going to experience what you have to offer.
Thank you, my friend. It's such an honor to be here. Thank you for having me. I have to run to another interview, so I got to skedaddle.
Well, we appreciate you spending time on the channel. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, get notified, and we'll see you on the next video.